Hey all, and welcome back to a new video of a game that I played actually 5 minutes ago, where I decided to get into a very nice positional game, ending in, well, you saw the title, let's just get into it. I start off the game with d4, and my opponent goes d5. I go bishop f4, the opening I always play, and my opponent goes knight f6, e3, and bishop g4. And this is a line in the London system where black immediately puts pressure towards the queen. If I go with a move like f3, this is normally considered as bad because you cannot be weakening the squares near your king so quickly when you want to castle over on the king side in many different variations. After a move like bishop d7, black is already slightly better. So the move knight f3 is pretty self-explanatory. My opponent goes e6, and I decide to just continue like pressuring here, and I mix up my theory a little bit. I play this move c4, which I thought was very interesting. Simply like targeting the center, trying to get my knight up to c3 instead of d2. Oh, this was wrong. What I should have done instead was go for the c3 and knight bd2, defending this knight, so then my queen can move in the future. But I thought that my bishop would always be able to do that and also defend this c4 pawn. And even if the bishop trades when my queen is on like b3 or something, I can always just recapture the pawn and it'll be no big deal. My opponent goes bishop d6, and I decide to keep it normal. I could go with bishop d6 and cd and go for something very interesting along these lines with move like knight c3, something like this. But I decided against it because I thought that this was a little silly, and I'm trying to put pressure on my opponent, right? They're a good ways lower than me. They're like 40 points lower than I am at the time of this game. And I decided, you know what, I should probably just relax a little bit, take it easy, play normal moves here, and I play this move bishop to g3, a very common move in the London, saying that if my opponent is going to capture my bishop, they can, but they will at a price because I open up my H file. Very nice, right? Now when my opponent's going to cast over this way, which is one of the top engine moves, my rook already has pressure and already has a target. So my opponent doesn't capture my bishop and instead decides to castle immediately. All right, reasonable. I go knight c3. Some of you might be wondering why not c5. And this is also kind of common. In this line, my opponent's going to capture. This rook looks nice, but in many cases, it's not actually that nice. Going back on what I just said, in many cases, it's not actually that nice, but in many cases, it is. In this case in particular, it's not that good because my queen is always like targeted to my knight. My knight can't jump up to the e5. I cannot draw arrows. Cannot jump up to the e5 square immediately to pressure this type of stuff. So the rook isn't really. The rook is kind of just like just sitting there and looking pretty without actually doing anything really good. And my pawns over here are already under fire. Like for example, top engine move is b6 now, immediately targeting my pawns. And my connect 4 is actually going to be broken here. Like it can go from bad to worse pretty quickly. b4, a5. I can't go a6 because of this pin on the rook. And if I go with this move b5, which is the engine's choice, my opponent even has crazy moves like c6 here, and it gets a little absurd. Where, in all honesty, it looks like white is being a little bit taken care of, and I don't want that. For example, if I do nothing, then bc and this, and what ends up happening is that I have this terrible pawn in all endgames. Like I'm gonna be able to play this move a4. Like actually, that's a very interesting. One of the top engine moves for black is this move a4, just to stop me playing a4, even though it sacks a pawn. But this pawn is going to be weak in all endgames and all positions in general, and actually white is a good bit worse here. So that's why c5 isn't really that good of a move, and I play the very normal move knight c3. My opponent goes c6, and I don't really think too much on it. I just play a very natural developing move, which is this move rook c1. I didn't really think much of it. I'm like, okay, I'm getting on the c file. Maybe I'm gonna open up here, start targeting stuff. Let's not think too hard. It's like the first 5 moves, first 8 moves, I guess. Queen e7, and I make a big mistake. Well, not a big mistake. I kind of miss a move. what I do here, I realize I calculate something pretty well. I thought I calculate this move bishop e2. Um, but I was wrong in my calculation. Like I thought that DC, and I just completely messed up. I kind of malfunctioned. I played 95 in my head, and then after like takes, I would take this pawn. He would take here. I would take here. Take, and I'm attacking the rook. I'm attacking the bishop. I'm winning, right? But for some reason, I just kind of didn't realize that he couldn't take, and so after I played the move bishop e2, I'm like, wait, this was a kind of a stupid move because it doesn't even do the thing that I'm trying to prevent. Like I'm trying to prevent the move DC, but it doesn't even do that. It doesn't even like help with that. So in all honesty, it's just a bad move. And what I should have done here, I should have realized what I should have. Okay, well, it's not what talking circles. I should have realized what I could do better, and I can play this move queen b3, which is very nice. And after the move like bishop f3, gf3, this isn't that big of an issue, which I thought about. I thought about playing this move queen b3 a little bit earlier, but I didn't play right now because I thought that this move bishop e2 just made a little more sense. Fortunately, bishop e2 was wrong, and after knight bd7, I realized my mistake. And so I play this move c5. Again, I don't really know. The point of this move was to force bishop g3, but I just told you why c5 was bad earlier. I just told you why c5 was bad earlier. There's actually not much of a difference right now. So I don't know what I was really thinking. After bishop takes g3, h takes g3. A move I was a little bit worried about was b6. Not too worried about, but it's interesting. Actually, here after takes, I can play this move a3, and the rook doesn't really have any targets, and I'm all right. But actually, computer wants b4, but I honestly don't want to play that move, so we're not going to. But actually, after hg, the move that black had to play was realize that my rook is actually being kind of strong over here. I'm threatening like moves like knight e5, for example. So he had to play this move h5, defending the bishop. So then there's no like tactics with this move knight e5 in the future with the bishop being undefended. Very nice move, but he doesn't do that. He goes knight e4. Okay, think about it for a little bit. Why am I not just gonna take? I don't see why. I don't see anything else that I'm gonna do. I'm doubling his pawns. Now he might have some weaknesses on these two dark squares. I want to bring my knight over there. Let's bring the knight over like this. That seems pretty reasonable. Let's do it. Knight d2. My opponent takes on e2. Queen takes e2. My opponent plays f5, defending the pawn, but allowing my knight to come up with moves like knight c4 in the future. First, however, I play this move queen h5, simply threatening checkmate, trying to induce this move h6, which I thought was wrong. And in all honesty, I don't want to admit this, but I kind of missed the very simple move knight f6. I don't even know how I missed this, really. It's very obvious. Also g6, by the way. I missed that too. But I have an excuse. I've been sick for a couple days, and I'm only just recovering right now. So you can probably hear it in my voice, by the way. But I've been sick for a couple days, and when you're sick, you don't really play chess very well. So that might explain my recent lapse in rating. But after queen h4, my opponent goes h6. The queen h4 is designed so that he can't really go here, because then I take the queen and I come up with very positional play. My opponent goes h6, and I go with this move knight c4, simply coming into one of these two very juicy squares. Knight d5, and I think about it for a while here and find this very interesting idea. Of course, I could safeguard my queen. I could play like queen h5, and then like try to live here, but then again, he's kind of coming into this square. Am I liking that? Not really. I thought that this wasn't like exactly what I wanted. Here I have knight e5, actually. Very nice move. Sacking a pawn, but this is not good because the knight actually gets locked in jail. I didn't see that, but I thought I was just losing a pawn. But yeah, here I realize I don't want to do that. I don't want the knight to get into this juicy square on d6. I mean on d3. So why don't I force the knight back a square by taking the queen? I was very proud of this move actually. Taking the queen, knight takes e7, and then I can stick my knight right into his face with a move like knight d6. And now I thought I was just crushing, right? I have very nice play over here. His rooks are kind of cramped behind all these pawns. My rooks have very nice play. I'm going to go king e2, bring my rooks to the c file, maybe the b file, try to get something over here. And I thought I was just like almost like pretty decently better, like pretty moderately better here. And I'm right. My opponent goes rook a b8. I go king e2. We got to bring the king in the endgame. My opponent goes knight c8. Not a very good move. Simply trying to get the knight out of here. If I take, obviously that'd be dumb. I want to keep my knight, so I go knight c4. Now I'm coming over to this square. My opponent goes knight back to e7, and I go knight e5. And now I'm threatening a fork. I'm not going to repeat moves with the guy. I'm not looking for a draw. I'm looking for a win. I want to get out of this losing streak phase as quickly as possible with a very nice win. So I'm not going to go for some silly little draw. Another thing you might be noticing here, my opponent hasn't spent any time. Like they have like a minute and a half, 8.5 minutes left. So when your opponent does this, and this is a very nice like thing to know, when your opponent is low on time, or when they're playing really fast, they're gonna be really tactical, right? Their brain is gonna be on like, oh, I gotta make sure that I'm not blundering immediately when I play this move. I can't blunder immediately when I play this move. That's all good. They're very tactical. Like you're gonna miss stuff that they see, but if you just play positionally against them, then they can't really do anything. Like it's just really easy to to play against someone who's under time pressure like that. And that's just like one little trick to show like how you can't how oh my gosh, I can't speak today. How you can like subvert that. My opponent goes rook fd8. Not the best move. I don't like it because like this pawn is a little weak with this fork. I go rook c4. I thought was very natural. I'm trying to bring my other rook over here. I didn't like rook c3 because I thought this walked right into knight d5 and I didn't know what I was doing. In reality, they're pretty much the same move. My opponent goes b6. I go cb, and I continue to play positionally with this move b3. That was pretty natural. Now b3, his rook can't come in. Like I could like go all out. I could go with like a move like rook b1, b4, like some crazy stuff here. But I just decided to play it very, very simple, and it kind of worked out. b3, my opponent goes knight d5, seriously destabilizing the pawn on c6, so much in fact that it's just hanging now. He just hung a pawn. Like, what do you have to do? Rook a6, try to get some issues here. Rook b8, rook b1, like something like this. This is we'll see. This is what he has to do. Like rook here, I have moves like b4. It's already kind of hard for him to make moves here without already getting draw. Like, see, I do it and it's already like plus 1.2. But after knight d5, he's just hanging a pawn. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take the pawn. I decided not to take the rook because I thought that I don't really remember what I thought. Maybe here, and like this, and he gets in or something. Right, like for example, like this, I lose. Just a little fun fact. But no, I don't really remember what I thought. Either way, knight takes. My opponent goes rook d7. Don't really get it. I thought he was gonna go rook c8. This isn't a fork because of that. Maybe wanted to defend this pawn. I don't know. My move was always going to be the same anyway. Rook hc1. Getting my other rook onto the c file. My opponent goes rook c7 now, and I just bring my knight back to e5 where it belongs. Takes. I thought keeping the c file open was very good. I didn't like this simply because he thought he was getting in, and I'm not too fond of letting him have play. This is completely fine because I have like a million passers, and I can just win the game. But instead I take with the rook. My opponent goes knight b4. Obviously trying to like make some chaos, but I simply play this move a3. I actually have a very nice win here. After rook c8 here, I have this move knight d7, hitting the rook and hitting the f8 square, which is going to get this pawn out of the way. Like after a move like this, for example, I get knight f8, king g8, and knight takes e6 with check, with this discover check against the king. But I thought a3 was more than enough. My opponent goes back to d5, and I go b4. I thought a very, very reasonable move, and now everything's good together. Obviously, he has to keep playing on. He plays move a5. I would do the same thing. I don't really know what else he would do here. If I take on a5, I thought he gets in. I have to sack my pawn on f2, and I don't know what I'm doing here. Why would I play like this? Right? Like, why would I do this? So I don't. And instead, I play this move knight c6, defending the pawns together. Again, I have rook c8, which is a win, but I miss it. Knight c6. My opponent takes on b4. I take on b4. I'm simply up a pawn, and I'm going to be able to win this rook endgame pretty easy. Rook b5. I could capture the knight here, but again, I didn't like rook b2 because I have to sack a pawn if I want to keep playing. After takes, I guess rook c2. This is already a draw, which is a little absurd. I suppose, like, at the very least, he can win this pawn. No, because I get something like this going. Yeah, but it's a little interesting. I go king d2. I thought, why not? I'm taking away this square. Why not let him, like, not attack me anymore? He goes knight b6, and I decide to go rook c6, targeting this pawn, hitting everything around the board. Pretty natural stuff. My opponent goes king f7, defending the pawn. I give him this check. My opponent goes king f6. And well, you see, I got very mad at myself here for the move I played. What I could do if I wanted to, I could simply play the move king c2, bring my king over to g3. I can't go with this move because then he takes on b4, right? And he's gonna win my rook. Like this. It's still a draw because I have this corner pawn, but I don't want to do that. Instead, after king f6, I thought, you know what I could do? I could simply make sure that he can't move anymore. Let's paralyze him. Let's paralyze him. And I play this move. I play the move rook b7. My idea was, now the knight can't move, and he's in some issues. He's in some troubles. But of course the knight can move. Knight can move to c4. And I have to play this endgame where I'm down a full knight. I'm down an exchange. And I'm losing. And after I played this move, I got so angry at myself because I was like, oh, I'm going to win this game. I'm going to win this game. Very natural stuff. Oh, yo, I'm playing so well today. Yes. But now, I mean, it's honestly just kind of sad. My opponent goes king e7. I go a4. I push all the way up. He doesn't stop me for some reason. Like, he could have stopped me. Maybe. I don't know. I actually don't know how. And I keep pushing all the way up. I try to keep everything going. My opponent goes rook a7, and now I get my king into position. King b5. He's letting my king in finally, and I'm going to try and make a draw here. My opponent goes king c7, and I play d5. Of course, right? Like, I want to get some stuff going. In reality, I probably should have played this move knight c6 and accepted the draw here. But this is a little bit harder to draw. I have to play moves like king a5, king d6, king b4. No, that loses. I thought king b5 would be fine. Actually, it's literally every other move besides king b5 that's fine. Okay, I don't even know. Like, it gets really, really complicated there. So I didn't want to play knight c6. I wanted to go with check. So after ed, I take back with the knight. King b8. I go king b6. And I'm almost to my draw. Because that's kind of what I'm going for right now. And I have one. It's one and only move. A move that I would never find in a million years Actually, that's a lie. I would definitely find this in a million years. But in a long period of time, like king c5, and my pawn is that much of a nuisance that his king can't join. After a move like h5, king d4, h4, I can't capture because obviously, and I go king e5, and like eventually, at the end of the day, like it's just a draw. It's just a draw here. My opponent's gonna try something, but there's nothing here. Like there's just nothing here, right? Nothing here. And if anything, white is gonna play for a win. But I miss it. I go knight b4 because I'm trying to like get my pieces into position to try and win the game or something. I don't know. To me, my opponent goes check. I bring my knight up with check. I go king c7. I had to go king c5. I had to come over here. I had to try and get that, but instead I go up. I'm trying to like get my pawn through, but I go the wrong way, and I take on h4 for some reason. I don't even know why I did this. I don't even know why I took on h4. I come back. I try to get this pawn. That was my point, but at the end of the day, my opponent plays h3, and I simply resign. Like I'm trying to find a way to be able to checkmate my opponent with getting my king to this square and my knight. Wait, how do I do this actually? Getting my king to this square here and like this with the checkmate, but I'm just never in time. I'm simply never in time, and the game ends with me losing, which is really, really sad. After this game, I don't know. After this game, I was kind of done. I was kind of done, and it was only like 30 minutes ago, but I'm still feeling really bad about it. Either way, that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you found this entertaining. I'm down to 22:35, which is pretty low from 2 videos ago, but it's okay. I'll be able to get back. I've been down far more. Yeah, that's all I got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this entertaining. All the above. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, do all the normal things YouTubers tell you to do. And yeah, good evening and good night.